We will lead things off with women's hoops. As you probably heard by now, Caitlin Clark made it official yesterday. She's turning pro after this season, the all-time leading scorer in large school women's college hoops history. Technically could have played one more year in Iowa City due to the COVID rules, but she's forgoing that option. She'll head to the WNBA. Clark and the Hawks were national runners-up last season. They are currently ranked 6th in the nation, so this March Madness run will be her final one. As we welcome you to March and we welcome you to Big Ten Today, we're presented by Gatorade on this Friday. Dave Revson, Andy Katz. I don't think this is a huge surprise. I think those of us who love the Big Ten and love what Caitlin Clark has done maybe hoped somewhere deep in our heart of hearts that she'd stay for another year, but a very understandable decision.
Well, first of all, I thought this showed great maturity and also selflessness for her team to make this announcement this week before this monster game this weekend, before the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament. Now, in a year of distractions for her, that one is off the table. She's locked in on this. I mean, obviously the WNBA is coming. The Indiana Fever already put out, season tickets because they know she'll be the #1 pick. There's a chance she could be on the Olympic team this summer. So it is quite a year ahead, but all that is forward, April and beyond. Focus on March and potentially early April. I thought it was great that she did this. And yeah, the COVID year, I think this is the last year of it, by the way.
Yes.
Next year. And also, you know what this will put to rest anyone squawking about, oh, the record was inflated and all this, if she added another year. She's already shattering it. And so now it'll be a true great record that won't be broken for a long time.
A 4-year record. And I completely agree with your point. I think that she had foreshadowed this a little bit, that she would make the decision now. I mean, she had said she didn't want it to be a distraction. She hadn't hinted at which way she would go, but she had said, hey, I don't want this to be something that distracts my team and that is a topic of conversation as we prepare to make this run. So she did fulfill that. We were talking about the Indiana Fever. I mean, Mike Corsi, you live in greater Indianapolis. Have you secured your Fever season tickets yet? It's kind of, in all seriousness, it's going to be huge.
It's going to be phenomenal here in Indianapolis, without a doubt. They drew a little under 5,000, the Fever did last summer for their WNBA season. They were not very good. They had the #1 pick a year ago and took Aaliyah Boston, so Caitlin Clark will get to join a really talented young team. And I think that will energize the city in a way that the Fever haven't since they won the title in 2012. It's a great opportunity for them. They'll start selling out. I don't know. I can't promise they're going to sell out every game, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's what happens. And this sets up really well for her. Indianapolis is not that terribly far from Des Moines. Let's say it's a lot closer than Vegas or Phoenix or LA. And then as well, she gets the chance to start competing against the very best. And when you reach a certain point in an athletic career, that has to happen. For her to evolve as an athlete, as a competitor, she needs to play against the best. And she has developed herself to the point where it's time for her to do that. So I fully expected her to come to that. And she probably already realized that a long time ago. But for her to come and say, this is what I'm going to do, it's time. And now we can focus on trying to do the best possible things for the Hawkeyes in the Big Ten tournament and in March Madness.
Well said. We will savor this last month or so with Caitlin Clark competing in a Big Ten uniform. It has been such a phenomenal ride. Let's get to our big story. This coverage of the TIAA Women's Basketball Tournament live from Minneapolis, Thursday through Saturday on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. The Ohio State women will be the top seed in Minneapolis next week. They wrapped that up on Wednesday night with a victory over Michigan, the only team that beat them in conference play this season. It was the Bucks' record 17th all-time conference title, first outright crown for OSU in 6 years, and they remain a #1 seed in the latest bracket reveal for the women's tourney, which came out yesterday. South Carolina, Stanford, and future Big Ten member UCLA, the other top seeds. Iowa's a 2, Indiana's a 4, and USC, which of course joins the league next season as well, is a 2 seed. But let's focus on the Bucks and junior Taylor Thierry. She is our big interview. She joins us now from Columbus. Taylor, congratulations on the Big Ten title. What stands out to you as you think about Wednesday night and the celebration and the win over the Wolverines?
Yes, thank you. Looking back at our game against Michigan, it was just an exciting accomplishment for this team and this program. But, at the end of the day, the job's not done. Right now, all our focus is on our next game, which is Iowa.
Okay, I still want you to talk a little bit about Wednesday. So we'll talk about Iowa in a second. But what did it mean to get that win against Michigan, who is obviously a rival? I don't think anyone who's watching the Big Ten Network needs me to tell them that, but also happens to be the only team that had beaten you this year.
Yeah, just looking back at our first game against them, we didn't play our best, and, that was evident in the outcome of the game. But, that was just a great opportunity for us to see, how we could improve as a team. And I think we just put a lot of pieces together that didn't work last game, and it showed. And I think we're just really excited and proud of ourselves, how far we've come just from the last time we played them. And we're just glad that we got out with the win. And, we just hope that we can continue to improve moving forward.
So you guys are the outright Big Ten champs. Iowa has gotten a ton of hype this year, and deservedly so for obvious reasons. Caitlin Clark probably foremost, but also they were the national runners-up a year ago. I know this might sound like a little bit of a strange question given how great you guys are. I mean, you're the number 2 team in the country. You're number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament as of now. But is there a little bit of a, hey, don't forget about us here with all the hype that they get?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Iowa is a great team. They have great players, not just Caitlin Clark, but they have a full team of players who can, really play basketball well. But, we're kind of used to, being overlooked a little bit, underrated. But at the end of the day, we don't really focus on these rankings, whether we're ranked number 2 or 102. We have same practice intensity going into each game, preparation, everything. But we're just excited for these opportunities to expose, our talents when we play other teams. And we just want to keep getting better each day.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. And I'm guessing most Big Ten fans know this, but your dad, John, was a great football player. Those of us in Chicago remember him as a number 1 pick of the Bears. I know that his career ended before you were able to kind of comprehend it, but have you looked back and watched videos of him terrorizing quarterbacks at all?
Yeah, for sure. Also, just listening to what other people had to say about my dad. Obviously, I didn't get to see him play, so just listening to what other people had to say about his, career and his accomplishments, it means a lot. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen him play, but I'm just really proud of him. And obviously, just coming from an athletic background for a family, I think it's helped me in my career. Just the foundations that they've laid in our family and work ethic and everything. I think that just has really helped my career right now.
Well, I know that he sadly passed away just before your high school career started. What impact did he have before his death in terms of getting you to where you are as a basketball player? Like, how involved was he in your development?
Yeah, he was very involved. He's actually the reason why I started playing basketball with me and my siblings. Like I said, we started at a very young age, and I just fell in love with the game, and he just took a lot of the stuff that he learned with his professional career and really helped me with growing and, practicing every single day and just making sure I know the importance of consistency and work ethic and really working hard to chase my dreams. And, a lot of the accomplishments I've had in my career so far definitely go to him, but obviously both my parents, but definitely thankful for everything that he was able to do for me.
One other thing I think is interesting about you is that you are a twin. Your sister Haley plays at Youngstown State. I am the father of twin girls myself, so I'm always very interested in this dynamic. What was it like between the two of you? How much of it was competing with one another? How much of it was supporting one another? How much of it was somewhere in the middle ground, depending on the day? Like, describe your relationship with Haley as a twin and as a basketball player.
Yeah, honestly, we both played a pretty pivotal role in each other's basketball career, let alone our lives. And, we've just been competing with each other, since we were younger, since we were 4 years old. And then in middle school and high school, just playing with each other has been really, really incredible. And, just having that relationship with her as a twin, as a sibling, and being able to showcase, what we're able to do together on the court. I think that's benefited us, throughout our careers. Obviously, it's unfortunate we couldn't play college basketball together, but I think this is also important for us to kind of be independent from each other and just see how we can grow with each other apart.
Oh, you guys face Iowa coming up here on Sunday, as we mentioned. You beat them in overtime in January. It was a wonderful game. What can you build on from that game as you head into the rematch?
Yeah, just keep in mind, they're an incredible team. They have really great players, but just looking at, the mistakes that we made last game and just seeing areas where we can improve, we're really going to focus on that. Honestly, looking back, I don't even think we played our best. And I think that just shows, how great of a team we are and, how much better we can get. And just, like I said, looking at our mistakes and seeing how we can improve as a team and really just focusing on how we can come together and, do our best to beat them.
We mentioned Caitlin Clark earlier. She had 45 points in that one. Now, you still won the game. So do you just say, we're going to go with the same defensive game plan and we'll let her get 45, or try to prevent it, but if she does, we can still win the game? Or do you scrap the whole thing and say, we need a different approach here?
I mean, obviously, we want to make it as hard for her to score as possible. But, like I said, she's an incredible player and she's going to get her points every single night. And, as long as we're just containing, her other teammates too, and just making sure that they're not scoring a lot, I think it's important to just make sure it's as hard as possible for them to score in general. But I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, she's a great player. She's going to get her points. But as long as we're doing our best on our end, I think we're going to be in a good position.
Your team finished one game away from the Final Four last year. This program has been to one Final Four. It was not in any of the lifetimes of anyone on this team. It's more than 30 years ago. How much do you talk about that as a goal and getting Ohio State back to that point this year when you have such a great team?
Yeah, that's a huge goal, honestly. It is far ahead. And so, right now our focus is really just moving on to the Big Ten tournament. But, it'd be great to see this team, especially how far we've come from the beginning of the season to where we're at right now. I think that would be amazing if we can make it to the Final Four. But honestly, we're just going to take it game by game and not look too far ahead, just stay level-headed, not look too bad at our negatives, and just focus on getting better each day. And, hopefully we'll make it there.
It is a great approach, no doubt, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds here for the Buckeyes, starting with that huge game in Iowa City on Sunday to wrap up the regular season. Best of luck there. Best of luck in Minneapolis and in the NCAA tournament as well. And thanks for spending a little time with us, Taylor.
Thank you.
So that is Taylor Thierry. Again, that Ohio State game with Iowa, one of 7 in the Big Ten on Sunday. Everyone plays on the final day of the regular season. All 7 games are televised. We've got 2 on the Big Ten Network, 2 on Big Ten Plus. Plenty of drama and intrigue as they wrap up the regular season. The latest bracketology shaping up thusly for the Big Ten. Purdue, not just a 1 seed, but the #1 overall seed. Illinois a 4. Wisconsin down a spot from Tuesday. They are now a 6. Northwestern up a spot. They are a 7. Michigan State hasn't played since the weekend. They're still a 9. Nebraska goes from 9 to 10. And Iowa now among the first 4 out. So let's go team by team. We'll start with Purdue. They haven't played since Sunday. Mike, I know you think they have the best resume by a significant margin. Tell us why.
Well, there are so many things we've talked about before. Their record against the top. We look back at the bracket reveal, and they had beaten 6 of the top teams, the 4 teams in each seed region. That's 16 overall. They had beaten 6 of them. 6 out of 15, pretty good. No one else had beaten 2 at that point. I don't think that's changed much. One of the things I came up with today was that they have played 15 of their 25 games to date against Quad 1 and 2, and that will be 18 of 28 by the time they get through, because their next 3 games are all Quad 1. And one of the other things, they have played 22 games against the first 3 quadrants to this point in the season. And that's remarkable. Houston, 18, UConn, 16, Arizona, 20. So no one has come close to the difficulty of schedule that they have played. Some of that is the Big Ten. Some of that was the trip to Maui and arranging the games against Alabama and Arizona on neutral floors. It's been a really challenging schedule to get them ready for this conference as well as for March.
So it was actually in Honolulu. I was there. And I will tell you that one of the hidden gems of these MTEs, they call them, these multi-team events, or hidden sort of things about them, is that if you win that first game, you are almost guaranteed game 2 and 3 to play teams that now in February and March are going to help you. When you lose that first game, now you're in a different pool and you can leave this event without playing quality teams. Purdue beat Gonzaga, and there was a lot of squawking at the beginning. Oh my God, for both sides. They matched up Purdue and Gonzaga right off the bat. So what happened? Purdue beats Gonzaga, and they have elite 3 games. Gonzaga loses, and they have to play Syracuse and UCLA. Ultimately, Maine got nothing out of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going back to that was what started everything for Purdue. And by the way, in a year where it's Indy and Detroit, even if they were to lose these last 3, they're going to be in Indy and then maybe Detroit.
And has impacted things potentially for Gonzaga as well as they try to win their way in. Did get the nice win over Kentucky, beat San Francisco last night, but they are not a shoo-in by any stretch. Illinois holding steady after the wild win over Minnesota, so still a 4 seed. Mike, remind people why that top 4 seed matters as we head towards Selection Sunday.
Well, there is a protection level relative to other members of your conference. They can't be put in the same, as a top 4 seed, they can't be in the same region with Purdue, for instance. And I think that's probably not a bad thing to be away from the Boilermakers. I think that one of the interesting things about Illinois is that there's still climbing potential for them. The issue with their resume to this point has largely been the absence of achievement against the upper half of Quad 1. When the committee looks at the team sheets, each quadrant is separated into upper half and lower half. So there are games that are Quad 1, like Nebraska's trip to Ohio State last night, which would have been good, but not an elite victory. Obviously, Illinois has at least one significant chance in that category. When Purdue comes to town, they also have tomorrow the big game against Wisconsin. That would be an absolutely great win for them to get. And they close with a road game at Iowa. So that's 3 Quad 1 opportunities. I'm not ruling out the possibility that they could climb to a 3 if they can finish strong. It's not going to be easy for them to lose the 4 spot because what's behind them isn't great. The 5 seeds are not exceptional. So if Illinois just produces as they have most of the year, they should hold the 4. But I still think the 3 is there in reach.
Location. I'm curious if Mike would agree with me. In other years, if Kentucky was higher, you would say, okay, Purdue's in Indy for sure. Who's the other sort of quadrant? Well, Kentucky, closer from Lexington, Indianapolis. But with Kentucky being below that, there's a great shot that Illinois could be that other, higher seeded team in the quadrant in Indy. Obviously, that location would be great for the Illini to help them win 2 games to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, it would be incredibly advantageous as they look to get out of the first weekend for the first time since 2005. Again, the schedule really tough down the stretch. Wisconsin and Iowa on the road, and then the home game that Mike alluded to against Purdue. Let's talk about Wisconsin. They've lost 6 of 8, Mike. They've gone from 6th in the nation in the rankings, which I understand don't have anything to do with bracketology, but certainly a reflection of how well they were thought of, how highly they were thought of, to now they're a 6 seed in your bracket. It is important to note that you're not judged like you used to be in the old days on how did you do in your last 10 games. It's not going to keep you out. There's an understanding that the schedules don't necessarily equate. You have some teams who finish with tougher games or start with tougher ones. But that being said, this isn't really the direction you want to be trending here down the stretch.
Not at all. It's been problematic. It seemed like they had gotten through it, and then they dipped back down against Indiana. It still isn't a bad resume, and one that if they could just juice it up a little bit over these last few games and in Minneapolis, there's still a possibility that they could get to a decent seed, possibly even a protected seed at the 4 line. That's going to be tough to do, but it's not impossible. But you look at the 5 seeds. On the 5 line, the Dayton has 7 wins against quads 1 and 2. San Diego State 8. BYU and Clemson both 9. Wisconsin has 12.
Yeah.
So the differential between those two is not significant. And what happens if you get into that 5 line is instead of having to play a top 3 seed in the second round, you get a chance to play someone who is more or less your equal in round 2, a 4 seed. So I think that would be really helpful for Wisconsin if they could climb to there. And I think it also would be really helpful for them if they just started to play like they're capable of playing, like they did for so long, and then everything else would take care of itself.
Yeah, the danger zone for the Badgers are if they stay in the 6th spot. I mean, it's more than likely the 11 they would play is going to be from a Power 5 or Power 6 conference. So it's a much more difficult first-round opponent than if you were at a 4 or 5. So right off the bat, you're on your heels and you're going to be challenged. You know, this is a team that clearly is got its bad habits back of not closing well, of taking some poor shots, and the schedule is not advantageous down the stretch. I mean, you've got Illinois at home, you've got Rutgers at home, and then they end at Purdue. And so these aren't get better games because the weekend games are going to be incredibly difficult, and then in the one in the middle, not easy to score against. And they've already had trouble against Rutgers. And Rutgers has had success with some of these people on this the team in Madison. So this is a real tough stretch before we even get to Minnesota.
The schedule has been great, to Mike's point, and they had so much good work that they did early on here in the year that will benefit them. And man, you talk about a team that challenged themselves. They only have 6 games all year outside of quads 1 and 2. It is a really difficult schedule, one of the best in the country. So going to run through the rest of the bracketology here with Mike, and pretty remarkable the way Northwestern has reinvented itself after losing Ty Berry for the season with a knee injury. They're 4-1 without him, despite the fact the offense has really declined. You see the 3-point percentage here. Their overall field goal percentage without him is under 39%. They were shooting better than 47% with him. They've made up for it, though, on the defensive end and on the glass, where they have made some significant jumps. And, Mike, this is a team you now have as a 7 seed. They were a 7 a year ago as well. They got another quad 1 win this week. Got at Maryland, not just without Ty Berry, but without Ryan Langborg as well. How do you see the Cats? Because I know it's a little bit of a strange resume given the quad 4 loss and given how low the net ranking is.
You know, it's interesting. This team is fascinating. What they've accomplished is almost ridiculous. To be able to lose Ty Berry and to be able to continue to win, and then to go on the road to play without Ty and to lose another starter in Ryan Langborg, who essentially was to be the replacement and was during the games he was able to play, was filling in beautifully for what Ty Berry produced. And then they're able to win anyway. It's just a remarkable achievement. And we all know that Chris Collins did a phenomenal job a year ago to get them into the tournament and have them be as successful as they are. But this might be even a more impressive coaching job, what he's done over the last month than last year's great work was. Relative to the tournament, I think that what puts them on the 7 line is they're now 10-7 against quads 1 and 2. They have done an amazing job with their resume metrics. You mentioned the net ranking. Ken Palm is low too. Ken Palm's at 40, Ken Palm and BPI average, I should say, is at 40. But their resume metrics put them at 20. I mean, that's a 5 seed. To be able to be there is really impressive. So I can't say enough about what Northwestern has done in really difficult circumstances. To lose a terrific starter like Ty Berry for the entire rest of the season and to step forward in the way that they have. I think they're fairly safely in, but you certainly want to take care of at least one of the final 3 games, and I think in their minds they're going to want to do more than just take care of Minnesota at home. They're going to want to take Iowa down at home this weekend, as well as try to go and make a good representation at Michigan State.
Yeah, both those conference home games against desperate teams, Iowa and Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see if Langborg plays or not tomorrow. Michigan State hasn't played since your last bracket came out. We all know the deal. They made 25 straight NCAA tournaments. They are 3 games under 500 against the top two quads. How solid is Michigan State?
Yeah, what makes them solid? You go back to the Baylor game that they played back in December. That was huge. The win over Illinois that was close, and they closed it out. And that was the Sparty we expected to see as this season progressed. Once they did that Illinois comeback and clinch down the stretch, how well they performed under pressure, we really expected to see more of that, and it hasn't been evident often since the Illinois game. What certainly helps them is that the predictive metrics still love Michigan State. And the resume metrics aren't bad. They're in the 40s, around 43. That's a tournament team, so they can be fairly confident that what they've done lately hasn't taken them out of the field. However, it did take them away from the opportunity to climb into a more impressive seed, a more advantageous seed than what they'll probably end up with. They're trending at this point toward a double-digit seed. And I'm not sure that's the worst thing possible because it would get them out of an 8-9 game. But the way they're performing, I mentioned this earlier on the show, and I still think it bears watching. They look like a perfect 8-9 game because they're going to compete well enough against the 8 or the 9 that would be opposite them, but they wouldn't be a huge threat to the number one with the way they're playing. And they're certainly their predictive metrics would justify a seed in that range. So I kind of think that's where they'll end up unless something drastic changes.
How about Nebraska? They missed out on that quad one opportunity last night, as we talked about, against Ohio State. Currently a 10 seed. What do the Huskers need to do to ensure that they are in that bracket for the first time in 10 years?
Yeah, it's not a super difficult stretch for them. Which is both good and bad because it makes it hard for them to climb, and that's why that Ohio State win Thursday night would have been so great to have because it would have given them another quad one. I think they need to close well because the schedule isn't demanding, and that's the most important element of it. Taking care of business, we call it in the bracket biz. You're supposed to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and that's where they stand now. Take care of those. We'll see where they fall in the bracket. You mentioned they fell out of the chance, at least as of now, to be on to open the tournament on Friday in the quarterfinals. But it's still possible for them to climb back, and we'll see how that goes. But they have to take care of business down the stretch to avoid getting themselves into the conversation with the teams that are fighting just for survival.
Hey, Mike, give me 30 seconds on Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa, they've made themselves relevant now, and that's a great thing. But when you're in the circumstance that they are in, which at this point for me is the fourth team out, so 1, 2, 3 ahead of them, then fourth out. There's a lot of movement available for them. Those teams in that range have been losing like crazy. I had almost every team that I had in my bubble watch for Sporting News last week. Out of 15 teams, 12 of them lost last week, and multiple lost twice in the last week. So if they just continue to win, they may find themselves in the tournament almost automatically. Just continue to win games. I know that means they're intersecting with other teams that are on the bubble or trying to fight for seed. But if they continue to win, and they've certainly played well enough to do that lately, they will find themselves in a position where they may end up in the bracket. 2
quad one games, though, left for them. Northwestern on the road, Illinois at home. So maybe easier said than done to just keep winning. But if you do that, you certainly reinforce the resume.